Sean from Ace Appliance in Toledo, Ohio. Welcome back to another in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com. Okay, complaint on the dishwasher, it won't do anything. I tried hitting the controls, nothing responds. So we're going to get to the bottom of the unit and verify that we have power to it. To do so, this is a newer style panel at the bottom, which just has like locking tabs that take a quarter turn to be able to remove it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. There's one on either side. That off, we can remove our panel and we'll set it to the side. Now that we have that, we can get underneath the unit and check our power in and such. So over on the right side here is where our power comes in. So I'm just going to take my little wand. Let's see if we have voltage coming here. I don't have anything here, but I don't trust this completely. It's just a quick thing, so I'm going to open up our junction box and check the actual wires, hot wires coming in there. So that's what we're going to do next. There's one screw that holds the cover to our little junction box on, so I'm going to take that 1/4 inch screw out. And it's hinged, and so we're going to just take the cover off, set that screw aside. Now I have access to my wires, which I'll try to bring forward here for you. Can you see there? Mm-hmm. So I am just going to take my cap off of here, my wire nuts off. That way I can, I'm sure I get my meter onto the wire. Touch. So we definitely have 120 volts here. So we have good power into the dishwasher. So that's why we don't trust that inexpensive tool. Most of the time it works. So we'll put the caps back on, wire nuts back onto the unit here. At this point here, you could either refer to your wiring schematic located in the dishwasher, but based out of experience, I'm going to get into the control panel. There's a fuse that's on the control board, and I'm going to check that out. So that's what we're going to do next. So we're going to open up the door to access our control. Slides down here, and I look through all the Torx bit. 15. So we're just going to go ahead and remove the screws, that way we can access the controls. Go. For the last 2 screws, I'm going to place my foot under the panel because it could flop off. That way we don't allow it to become damaged. So it'll help, we'll say, break the fall. Alright, so we'll have all of our screws out, and I'm going to lift the door back up and then remove the front panel. Then we're just going to kind of lift up and out. Now inside of here we can disconnect this ribbon that's still connected, this cable here. Appears that there are 2 of them. So we're going to disconnect both of them, and that way I can remove this completely. So So they're both located right here.
Okay.
And a little tab, push in and pull out. And same with the other one. So now we have our cables removed. We set this to the side.
Good.
All right, now we have access to our computer right here. In here is the inline fuse. And what we're going to do is just isolate the wire so we can get to the terminals. And then we're going to ohm it out. And then I'm going to just leave it in there with the wires in there. And I'm going to check the reading. If it checks out okay, if I get a good resistance, I'm still going to go in farther to isolate and be able to remove one of the wires because there's a potential that it's going backwards to make my circuit. So we're going to get it on the terminals here. Alright, I'm not really getting anything, so just to double check, I am going to pop the cover off of this just so I can remove one of the wires. You want to be careful. It's this high quality industrial plastic that's going to last a lifetime. Don't break it, we'll stop it while we're ahead. Now we have our fuse up in here, and we're going to try to remove that. There are two little gray tabs, one here and one here, that have to be pushed down so the fuse will slide out, so that's what we're going to do. Still good?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to gently, sit gently. Slide it down so we don't break it, and then, we can still remove our fuse like so. So here's our fuse. We're going to disconnect one of the wires. Now one of these wires are still hot, so we just want to, that one's hot, that one's not, so it probably means a good sign that our fuse is bad. So I'm going to disconnect my hot wire, or attempt to. So there should technically be no electricity to it, but now I can definitely check the resistance of my fuse. It would sound like this. So the fuse is bad. So we're going to look up the parts to get information for this. Alright, so we're going to replace the fuse. This is how the fuse comes. It comes already with these wires on it. It's got this little connector, so technically we could probably just unplug it and plug these wires in, but because they provide it with this, they must have found some reason why this is good to have. So we're going to cut these terminals off, strip them back, so we can insert them into this connector and tighten it down. Now as far as which wire goes where, it doesn't make any difference because they're just going to complete a circuit. So we're going to go ahead and just cut the terminals off. And then just strip back the wire. We don't need to strip it back very far, just enough so it goes inside that little terminal there. So we got both of our wires stripped. So I'm just going to take the first one. If I get out of the shop, let me know. Insert it in. Twist it up a little bit so it goes in. Put it into our piece there. And then I get my small screwdriver, and there's just basically a screw. And I'm just tightening it down. And all that's going to do is just hold our wire, clamps it down in place. So we can give it a little pull, make sure it's good. Now we're going to do the same thing for our other wire. And the reason I'm using these wire strippers here is because this is actually still live. There's 110 volts there, and I don't feel like getting poked. So I'm going to insert that the same way. So what's in there. Go ahead and tighten it down, making sure not to touch anything that's conducting. So that's tight, and then we're going to make sure that both sides of the wire are good. So that's good. Now we can insert our fuse the same way that we had removed it. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back up in here where it belongs. Still good? Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and let's do it in this way. Whichever way will make it fit better. Alright, so we obviously have more than what we had. So our fuse is in place, and we can go ahead and put the cover back on, clean up our wires, and give you some wire ties. So we're going to go ahead and put our cover on, and then like so. Alright, so we got our wire here. I'm just going to use one of the zip ties just to kind of clean this wire up here. Put it out the right way. How about that? So that's that now. And we can go ahead and open the door. I just want to make sure that the controls are going to work before I put everything back together. I'm going to go ahead and put our terminal block cover back on that we took off earlier to make sure we had power to the dishwasher. So this is the way you can actually see it a little bit without the front panel on. So I'm just going to tuck these back up into the cavity where that belongs. Take our cover.
That's Jacob's. That's one of the things he forgot. Jeff calls his
Keep it where it goes, and then put the screw in to hold it in place. So that's back there. Now we're going to go ahead and put the front panel back on the dishwasher. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put our front panel back on. First thing I have to do is hook up the wiring I disconnected for it. So I'm going to go ahead and just slide it over in position and insert both of the harnesses.
Oh, you're ready. Oh, wow, okay.
Easier said than done. Kind of put the door in position, and then I'm going to open it up all the way. Put my foot under the center of it to help support it and start tightening down the screws. So we're going to go ahead and just pull it back because they got latched. Like so, and then we can go ahead and slide our panel on. Give some look. Alright, so that is, we'll say, loosely on. So now we can open up our panel. Still good or no?
Good.
Alright. Open it up. Now we have to support it because it will just kind of pop apart and we'll have to start all over again. Alright, so once I kind of eyeball and see that it looks like it's roughly where it needs to be, I'm going to start down at the bottom, so that way I don't have to worry as much with holding it on with my foot. So once I get a screw in there, I won't tighten it down all the way, that way it allows me a little bit of play, so I can slide the panel around if need be. So we got our first one in position, and we're going to see it, I guess, you know. Alright, good. I'm going to actually start with a different one just so I can use less hands here. So the one that I saw lined up I just started with, and then I can focus on that. There's that. Screw we got. Now I can kind of see it a little bit better at the bottom. Tighten it down. Alright, like I said, those three that I already installed are in there a little loose still. So we're going to go ahead and start to fasten the rest of the screws to get everything lined up and ready to go. There's that. Now we can go ahead and tighten every screw that we put in down all the way. There's no need to over tighten just until it gets snug. I'm actually going to lower the clutch on my drill down so that way it's less chance of over tightening. And then the rest of our remaining screws that were loose, we can go ahead and tighten them down all the way. All tightened up now. Now there's water in here from when it failed last time, so I'm going to set it up into a cancel drain cycle just by hitting the cancel button. We're going to close it and we can hear the drain pump come on. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and put the bottom panel back on. Alright, so I have my bottom panel, I'm just going to put it in position, and we had our little locking tabs here. So just put those on here. And they're just a quarter turn to lock them. And I was able to do by my hand. That's on now. Now, once we're just going to let this finish its cycle, and then we're going to start it up and run it through a test mode, or just let it fill up and wash and then drain it back out again. Okay, so we just finished out the drain cycle that we did to remove the old water. Just going to open it up and go ahead and just select the normal wash. Hit the start button, and close it. Now we're just going to monitor, make sure it fills with water and starts washing. So you can hear the water valve is being energized right now. Just a slight hum. On some of these higher end models, it's more difficult to hear the water entering because of the insulation that they put in there to drown out noise. On the less expensive model, there's no insulation. You can clearly hear the water entering the dishwasher. Thank you for watching another quality in-home diagnostic video brought to you by ApplianceVideo.com.